The AX15 transmission has been a rugged unit. Advanced Adapters is now offering brand new AX15 transmissions. While this transmission is specifically a direct replacement for 1998-99 TJ Wranglers, it will also fit a variety of other AX15 applications and even a replacement for the early Peugeot transmission, found in the early YJ Wrangler. This new transmission may also be used to replace the NV3550 in model years 2000 until the introduction of the 6-speed transmissions. This new transmission will also fit XJ Cherokees and similar models that have the transfer case clocked 10 degrees. This includes the early ZJs and also some Dakota pickups with the V6. Advanced Adapters takes the guesswork out of this placement by offering a clocking ring. Shown here is the modification to the tail housing adapter that enables the use of this transmission in an XJ Cherokee. This is an alternative to swapping the old adapter to the new transmission. The new transmission's adapter is designed for either bolt pattern. The adapter was factory drilled depending upon the application. The key to drilling accuracy is the use of a drill guide. As you can see here, the transfer case is clocked counterclockwise, that 10 degrees. This essentially lowers the bottom end of the transfer case. With the adapter still in place, this is a sensible way to drill the new set of holes. If the transmission can be placed in either a drill press or a Bridgeport mill with the nose end down, that would be an alternative. The hard steel drill guide serves as a means for making certain these holes are true and square with the adapter flange. The drill bit in this case is an 11 millimeter Cobalt high-speed drill. The variable speed half-inch drill motor is optimal for controlling the speed and the cutting efficiency. This light pilot is drilled to be certain that the hole is indexed before going further, using a suitable lubricant to protect the drill bit and the aluminum. While this task could be performed in the vehicle, it is much easier on the bench with a bench mule. The bench mule is a fixture that is ideal for axle differentials and transmission work. This is a clean and true hole, indexed with the Advanced Adapters indexing plate. We can now move to the next hole, making certain that the plate is on center before setting up the drill guide. Once the holes are confirmed, the indexing plate is removed and the drill guide is used directly against the face of the adapter for the following 5 holes. The drill is allowed to find its center in the drill guide, without any binding or side pressure on the drill itself. This pattern repeats itself for all 5 holes. The critical factor here is the center indexing lip and keeping the adapter holes on center with the indexing bore. When the transfer case mates to the transmission, the center line of the transfer case must be in the center line of the transmission output shaft. The burr grinder is used strictly for smoothing and not removing much material. After parts washing, examine and replace any worn hardware. Vent sealed, the whole transfer case is now run through the parts washer. There are seals on the input and output end of this particular transfer case. Be certain you know whether this clutch material has asbestos or not. In this case, we were able to run it through the parts washing cabinet because there was no asbestos. The original 231J transfer case output splines were in good shape, but the yoke on the drive shaft did require replacement. Renew U-joints when necessary. A dab of 3M copper brake lubricant at each end of the release arm is needed. The previous owner had given this Jeep Cherokee a good workout in brush and even some rocky terrain. This crossmember will be restored at this point in the project. Spot welds were okay, so some light hammer work against a steel plate straightened the edges of the crossmember. A piece of 3/16 steel plate was welded over the dented section to reinforce it and act as a skid plate. A coat of paint is both cosmetically appealing and a protection against the elements. This is a time to replace worn motor mounts. These are the same parts after a good coating of black gloss paint. Here, a pair of pipe wrenches and a pry bar act as a prying tool for removing the shift lever from the shift stub shaft. The upper shift lever remains fully intact and reusable. There are 9 bolts attaching the bell housing to the face of the transmission. Don't miss the one behind the release arm. All of the original parts on this 1998 XJ Cherokee 2-door manual transmission model fit perfectly. The 4 bolts holding the motor mount plate to the transmission are common to all AX15 applications. This unique wrench is for removing starter motor bolts. It is ideal for reaching the upper bolts on the transfer case to transmission. The transfer case does need to be attached with the transmission in a lowered position. On the skid plate, one of the nutserts was loose in the sheet metal frame, and that was replaced with a new insert. Use the factory workshop manual steps for removing the transmission. Any deviation from that will be a waste of time. The AX15 is a very busy transmission. I've rebuilt many of them. Instructions for rebuilding a unit are available at the magazine. However, in some cases, it is much more cost-effective to buy a brand new transmission unit, as parts and labor for rebuilding an AX15 transmission is substantial. Rear U-joint bearing caps were protected with tape during the paint. That tape is removed, and now the driveline is installed with a fresh dust boot and well-greased slip yoke that is new and will protect the output splines of the transfer case. If this vehicle were slated for more chassis lift, a slip yoke eliminator kit would be installed. This transmission has a front bearing retainer used with an external slave cylinder, optimal for converting earlier internal slave cylinder models to an external. Parts like an external slave cylinder kit, improved hydraulic clutch linkage, or a slip yoke eliminator kit for the transfer case are available from Advance Adapters. See the latest Advance Adapters catalog for details. An AX15 transmission, used properly, will last several 100,000 miles and a fraction of the cost of a new Jeep 4x4 vehicle. Seen in this light, this kind of work is both restorative and cost-effective. You won't find this Mopar lubricant at any FCA dealership. I've held onto a case of this special lubricant for AX5 and AX15 transmissions since 2005. If you cannot find this lubricant, use the oil recommended by Advance Adapters or Mopar. I purchased this Motive Products Power Fill unit from Summit Racing, and it is perfect for filling transmissions and transfer cases. The aluminum embedded in this starter motor bolt says it's time for a helicoil repair. There's no point in discarding a perfectly functional starter motor. Our work is restorative here. That is both cost-effective and sensible. This recently purchased XJ Cherokee reflects the kind of previous service work that was done on this vehicle. Our job is to make the vehicle better. Note that the helicoil is recessed slightly from the face of the starter motor. This enables the starter face to fit flush with the shim.